Chris Duffin, and I'm sitting down with Mike O'Hearn. Yes, that's right. So, an icon of the industry in some ways, right? So, I wanted to talk with Mike for, well, we've been planning on this for almost like a year.
Yeah, we have.
And
since Vegas, since the
yeah, it was August.
The gym opened.
Yeah,
out there.
Yep. And I've always been fascinated with Mike. He's been in the industry for so long and has maintained both his strength, his physique, and if you watch him, watch anything on social media, you'll see that he just loves life and loves doing what he's doing. And for me, those are some really things that bring up a lot of questions, because I see a lot of people get involved, in bodybuilding, powerlifting, strongman, and maybe they'll go kung ho for 2 years, 5 years, 6 years, and they get burnt out, and people come and go. How many training partners have you had through the years, right? So I wanted to start out by talking about just some of the mental aspects of that, like how staying positive. And I want to give an example here really quick. So,
okay.
Or maybe more of a question.
Okay.
Because one of the hard things today, staying positive, seems to be like with social media. There's so much negativity, or people perceptions, but like I think recently you and Mark Bell had a joke between each other that got posted online, and people actually take it seriously. And so
yeah, they got
so
babe, you got my phone? Good. I gotta show you this so you can read it to the fans. They got, understand the collaborations like this. This is something we do because we love it, and we're gonna give back to the fans, right?
Yep.
And anything like this, you're gonna laugh on this. Anything that we're doing like this, it's like, let's just have fun with it. Let's go out. We're gonna work out together. Let's, do our thing. Even like me and Stan did a squat off.
Yep.
But it seemed like at that time, or maybe how he and I handled it, it was very friendly and outgoing and fun. But it motivated so many people when they watched the video, because they just saw two guys on a Sunday morning after I guess close go at it. And it was fun. It was motivational. With Mark Bell, it was my idea. I said, hey, maybe you should do this, that, and the other thing, and I think that would get people talking. And the only reason to do it is, it's like with a lot of these, you kind of pump them up, and that's social media.
Right.
It's a hype. It's a fight. It's like any big prize fight. And so it was my idea. I did a little 30-second, call out. I'm gonna beat your numbers and stuff, and then he came back with a great WWE promo, and people got mad.
Well, I think that they didn't understand it was like dripping with sarcasm. He wasn't because I was just there with Mark like a week or two before he posted that, and I was actually telling him, I'm gonna go down and see Mike, and Mark's like, oh yeah, I've been trying to get him on the podcast for a while, talking about you guys talking in the past and doing stuff, and then that came, and I saw the video. I'm like, oh, they're doing something. I hadn't seen what you posted, but I'm like, oh, well, I know what's going on. They're building something up, and they're planning on working together. And yeah,
I think I talked to Ed Cohen, and I said, what'd you think? Because everybody got really upset about it, and he said, I thought it was hilarious. And I wasn't worried about his fans. His fans most likely aren't going to like me. I'm not worried about that. I was worried about my interpretation of him, or how he's going to play towards my fans. And my fans got mad at him. And I go, no, I don't want to make or start a rumor about somebody and say what they're not. Because Mark's a great guy. And he's a fun-loving guy. He's a jokester and stuff. And so I shut it down real quick, because I didn't want my fans to think different of him.
You're right.
Yeah, and it's just, trust me, man. Life's too short and to get all upset like that, and so it didn't work.
But I mean, that involves a general theme where people get worked up or start posting stuff under some level of anonymity online, and it's really easy to sense like negativity over it's like I don't know. I know that you see it. I have my haters. I'm sure you've got yours too, and it's like one of those things that kind of works against you, and how to how do you handle that?
When I first started doing social media, I got involved, and I let it get to me, and I responded to some stuff. And then I sat there and I looked at things, and I realized the bigger and bigger you get, the more exposure you get, or the more good things that happen to you, more people are going to want to cut you down. More people are going to want to, no, this isn't so, you know, it isn't happening. And the one thing that I had to start remembering and separating myself from is I had to separate a little bit from so much communication with the negative and stop going to the negative, because it's just sucking me in.
Yep.
I got a good life. And I got a good life because I choose to have a good life. And I keep great people around me. And man, if I'm not traveling and I'm not doing stuff, then I want to spend my time with my girl and my dogs and relax. The whole negative thing is a person's choice to bring it in your life or take it out of your life. And it's your peer group. Who do you hang around? I don't care what people say. Those 5 to 10 people that you hang around, you're either going to become like them. And if they're going in a different direction than you, you're going to end up there sooner or later. It just works that way. If they're always, your friends are always going out to the clubs on Friday and Saturday, sooner or later you're going to start joining them. And I've matured enough. I mean, obviously I'm an older gentleman. I first appeared in the magazines in 1987, to give you an idea. You know, so since 1987, and we're almost in 2017. So, cameo.
Hello. You're going to say hi to me now.
So that's one of the biggest things, is that I realize I have a good life and I've had a long career, and I got to pick and choose and separate myself from the negative, because it doesn't help in the end of the day. And the positive, you keep that in there, and it enhances even more.
I think you just hit on a really valuable topic there. And it's something that I use like in my professional life before I got involved in this career late in the game, because I had a very successful business life before this. And, you know, I was always really religious about making sure I had the right people around me. Like when I go into a company, I'd bring in people
you know.
that I knew were good. I'd hire people that were better than me. You know, like,
why wouldn't you, right?
Exactly. I had, you know, you have to have a great team around you. You can't be afraid of like being outshined. You want people that are going to be, they're going to set the standards for you. I mean, like, some of my best friends are high-powered business executives that, you know, have run multi-billion-dollar companies. But that's the people I want to be around. And like, because in this industry, who do I call my friends? It's like, well, you know, pull up my phone. It's like I'm texting Stan and Mark, and you know, like it just, these are the, you want to surround yourself with people that inspire you, right? And that, to stay motivated.
You said something that I believe in every aspect of this, is you bring in people for your business that are better than you in certain things. Yeah? I believe that is 100% something I grabbed onto as a youngster, that I believed in, and that I always, you never want to be the strongest guy.
Right.
Because like this morning was awesome, because we got to train, and you guys are beasts, and I know what's coming tomorrow and the next day. It's like, I want that. I want that guy that's better than me, so I can freaking have that fight and to learn that. And so something you said is like, I've surrounded myself with people that are business people and other things, and then they challenge me on the aspects I'm not good at.
Yep.
And that enhances me. And outside of the fitness world and everything else, it's like I'm doing other stuff that's helping me financially and globally. And it's because of my friends that challenge me, go, that's great, you whatever in the gym and you're on your nutrition, I get that. But what about this? And I'm like, oh shit, that's a slap in the face. Yeah, I didn't even realize that. I want you to do that. And then I had to go out and do something and do more business aspects of it.
It's good to be challenged. I mean, thinking. I remember when I first started my gym, and I would get some people coming in the door, and they'd be talking about how strong they are, and I'm like, it's like, wow, it's gonna be awesome to have that person start the gym. I'm like, probably not gonna make it. I'm like, what do you mean? Really strong. I'm like, yeah, but listen to them, and you can really see that they want to be the big fish, right? And they're quickly going to realize they're not the biggest fish anymore, and they're going to go back to where they are, just so that they can be the big dog. They can be the big dog, but they don't have to get better. Yeah. A lot of people realize, I'm not the strongest guy in my gym. And I'm okay with that. Like, I don't want to be the strongest guy in my gym.
Why do you think that is, though? I know it's
I
there's
mean-
positive and negative and all that stuff. Why do you think that we want to be around guys that are better than us?
I want to be better. Like, I
Don't
want
you
to.
think that like pushes you to?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It's just in all aspects
Because
of that.
if they're there, I'm still going to try to beat them.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, well, yeah,
It doesn't-
every day. That doesn't go away.
Right?
No.
I mean, it doesn't mean I want to be weaker than that person or not as good. I do, but I want to have people that
You want to
challenge
fight.
me and set the standard. And yeah, I want to seek that out. And I want to. Yeah, that's what you. That keeps life exciting.
Yeah, because I think for me, that gym time and doing this, which is fine, and I love that social media made this into something. You know, now we collaborate.
Mm-hmm.
But I do see sometimes where for the fans, they take it to a negative way, like you were saying. And somebody said the other day something about Mark Bell called you out, and he's going to kick your ass. You need to prove your numbers. I like the first part. Mark Bell called me out. I called him out. He called me out. That's great. You got to go do this and that. But I don't got to prove nothing.
Exactly.
Yeah, you misunderstand
Yeah,
this
no.
when we start doing this stuff. When we start going against each other, there's nothing to prove. It's just we want the battle.
Yep.
Dude, I'm okay with losing. I'm okay. I just need to fight in that sense. I
Yep.
just want that.
The only thing you, in the end, have to prove to anybody is to yourself.
Yeah.
And that's where people like.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think get confused some days.
Yeah, and I think they're
And
just
they're like-
kids, and I try to remember that they're
Yeah,
kids.
Yeah.
That positive and negative, but it's funny on social media that they'll say there's certain things you can and can't do. The kids will, and it's like, you guys are just making this up. It's why are you blocking us? Because I don't need to listen to your negativity, and I'll do that, and I admit that too. They say you shouldn't block you. Of course I should. It's just like life. There's some people
I
you
know.
need to
Well,
block.
Exactly, and I do the same thing, and people go, well, it's free speech. I'm like, well, no,
Not my
it's
page.
No, it's not actually. I'm sorry, but you're confused. This is not.
This for us is we're old school. This is a scrapbook. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's a scrapbook that you can comment on.
Yep.
If you want to look at the scrapbook and you want to comment on it and give motivation and take motivation, because that's what I use social media for. I look at it and I look at your deadlifts and stuff, and I'm like, oh, love that. I just want to be around that energy. And that's motivation. And so I don't. Okay, somebody's a showboater. we got
We'll
wolves
keep
walking
that.
around everywhere. But I guess it's a mindset for us. When you get to a certain level, you just want to get better. You just want motivation. You want to suck all that up, what life has to offer. And so I let very little negativity in and keep so separated from it.
I think a big part
Social
too
media is
is
hard.
that maturity of like, and you can tell me if I'm off base here, but you know, probably early on in the early days, you know, your first few years, and it's like you're trying to show and prove yourself, but not necessarily to you. You're trying to prove to the world, and then that I think is where you reach that 2, 5 year, 6 year part, and people like, you know, aren't making progress, or not doing whatever, and they kind of burn out, and it's like.
Yeah.
In the long run, you're going to be in it because you love to do it, and it's something meaningful and personal to you. And at that point, you've got to separate like proving things to the world, right? Like,
Yeah, there's got to come. You got to be able to separate it at some point, because there's new chapters in your life. I've done this for at least 5 minutes chapters in a sense, because by the time I got to the magazines in '87, I was already competing in everything, and that at that stage, the late '80s, early '90s, and when I first started powerlifting, the people I was looking at through this post the other day. Come on, superstar, go get him. I was looking through this, and I'm seeing Mike Bridges and Mike Hall. I lifted against, and somebody I always lifted against and could never beat was Bull Stewart.
oh yeah, he's phenomenal.
Phenomenal. And I'm this little 19, 20-year-old going against the men, and I'm like, I gotta beat Bull Stewart. I gotta beat him. And I could never beat him. But I love that struggle, and I love that battle. But as life goes on and you see people come and go, And you forget about, oh my gosh, when I first started, these were the people. Then there was a decade later, and these were the people. And then a decade later, and now I'm like 4 decades in, and I'm like, wow, you forget so many people that have done the struggle. And well, what kept me going?
That's the question. That's what I want to get at, because that's what I find fascinating about you, Mike. I mean, if I want to look to people that challenge me, a lot of people say I'm ending the end of my career. I'm getting close to, next year I'll be 40. In powerlifting terms, maybe I got a few years left, which I'm already quasi-retired because I really don't care about proving anything on the platform anymore.
Yeah.
But I don't want that to be the end of the story, right? For me, so.
Yeah, and I think you hit on it when you said that some people do this, and when I won competitions and things, that was the young me where I wanted to prove myself, and I wanted to, hey, I want you to be taken serious. This is, look at me, I'm doing really good. And then it switched. I don't know when it switched, but when it switched from me trying to prove myself to others, and it was more internal, and you're doing this for you now. You're doing this for your livelihood or for your business or your family, and for the love of it. When it changed, I trained even better and longer. And
Is that when you maybe got more involved in like giving back, as far as like, to the fans, people around you? Like, was there a shift in that at the same time?
I think it was before that, and that translated into doing that, which as a kid, you know what, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that stuff. And it's one of those things when you're older and you say to the 20-year-old, man, if I knew now, but at your age, I would own the world. And like me and Ed we were talking and we were saying, man, right? And he's a fun cat. He's just awesome.
Oh,
I love the man. But yeah, it's like one of those things. It's if I knew now, when I was 20, it'd be such a different world. Like giving back, going to hospital, doing charity work. What it does to you as a person is so different than everything's selfish. Because what we do, is a very selfish thing.
Yeah. This is, I'm not sure if you know Brandon Lilly, but he's another powerlifter. And we had a sidebar conversation a few weeks ago in Texas. And we were both, because we're both kind of in the same point right now of like, we competed at high levels and we're kind of shifting gears and just kind of doing it for personal reasons.
Right.
And both like doing our business stuff that is actually helping other lifters and helping people grow, and how it's a shift from being, selfish, because guess what? When you're competing, it's
you.
selfish. It is.
It's you.
It's that's what it's about. It's about
diet,
you
training,
doing
your
this all
time.
so that you can win. And and when it becomes selfless, like how much more rewarding it becomes. Like just that high of being able to take somebody and like get them out of pain, or help them set a record, or take. There's just so many different examples of like that the level of how that feels versus like when you're up there and you get the big win. That felt great, but it could feel nowhere near as big as like one of those small wins of having an impact on somebody's life.
Yeah, that's cool, because what you're doing is you're helping the lifters, somebody in your field, what you're doing. And I think when I do things like the hospitals, and I'll take the striker to the hospitals, I think one of the biggest things is anytime I could see someone in a bad position, a child's been burnt or missing a limb, or I just did which is my first time doing, an old folks home, but they all have autism. And it was heart-wrenching, but it was beautiful to see their smiles and their just their reactions to everything, and just being able to pet the dog and have that moment of happiness. It was the most beautiful thing in the world. So it changed me as an individual so much. Even I cried 3 times going through the whole place. But I wouldn't have changed it for the world. And that's a different man than the guy when I was 20. Because I probably wouldn't hang with the 20-year-old man. Because he'd be too selfish and too about, I got to do this, this, and this, and the training was too rigid. And now I'm so much more relaxed about it and have fun with it. So.
Yeah, I mean, both of us just went with the flow today. I had a game plan, you had a game plan. We texted about each of our ideas beforehand, and then we ended up doing something completely different today. And we're both just like, oh, okay, let's roll with this.
Let's just have fun with it.
I was like, that sounds like fun. Let's do it.
So recommendation for both of us to the fans, get involved. Get involved earlier than later.
And figure out how you can have an impact. Like, I'm doing something completely different than you are, but like I have an ability and a gift to teach people how to not be in pain. And that can be very, very, I mean,
not be in pain
that can bring somebody out of depression. There's some, I know I get messages from all people around the world. And it's not even just lifters, you know, it's everybody. It's everybody.
But I'm just thinking of lifters themselves, that it's, because I think we both can agree, when we get owies or injuries as a lifter, you feel like the world's ended.
So imagine that for both of us, we've recognized what an important piece this is. I think that's a big negative with society today, is a lot of people have lost moving. Mm-hmm. And it leads to mental disorders, physical ailments, like there's so emotional problems, like there's a whole
They would like to say it doesn't. No, you can't move as well. No, it's everything.
It's everything. And that's a big piece of like all these healthcare costs today, are just the fact that we don't move. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's just plain and simple. And so people figure it out, right? And then if you have that yanked out from under you, and you go for 6 months not being able to go to the gym because and you can't bring in a bag of groceries,
right?
That will mess with your head. Like that is
destroys people.
Yeah,
we've both seen it.
Yes.
I mean, I've seen being in the gym my whole life. I've seen not just movement, but bad habits and those kind of things just destroy a person like that.
Yep.
From movement to being so driven to win something or one thing, when it's not about that one thing. It's that, I know this is cliche, but it's about the journey. It really is about the journey. We win shows, we win titles, great. It doesn't change us as much as the journey did.
No, I think I wrote an article on this at one point, but it's like I encourage people to compete. Like, get in, set a date, because guess what? The date's not going to move. You're not going to get to call up the promoter and say, hey, I missed my training last week. Can we bump this out 2 weeks? It doesn't move. So it drives you. It drives you to be better. It puts a mark in the sand. But in the end, all it does is make you stick to completing the journey.
100%.
Right?
Yeah.
The doing, the meat in the end, doesn't really matter that much.
Yeah, I can agree with you. It's just that whole journey. I know this,
but you'll never have the journey unless you go. I'm going to do this.
Pick it and do it.
Yep.
It's funny because everything we're saying is those memes that they put out there, but it's the life experience that we've lived that actually showed us. And unless I did the hospitals and stuff, or unless you help the athletes, you just really want this to go on. Sorry about that. Unless we did that and stuff, or we probably wouldn't believe it, but it's just the truth of it.
Yeah.
Just going through all this stuff. Yeah, we have our highs and lows, but we still, how long have you been training now?
About 25 years. So, yeah. Started, I think we're 7th, 8th grade. So, a little later start than you. I still love it. And, still train quite a bit every day.
What gets you up to do it?
There's just certain things when I get an idea in my head, I want to just see if I can do it. And sometimes I'll think about it for like a month. I'm like, I've got this, and it's just a workout, right? Like, this crazy. Leroy had it today. I think he dreamed that up today. He's like, I've got a plan.
I'm gonna do.
It's gonna be fun, right? And it's just this challenge. It's something that is a little scary. Like, I don't know if I can do that, but I think I can. I want to chase that.
And we tried it.
And yeah,
we tried this. But no, but I understand that you still got the passion for it after 25 years.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things is it never ate you up. And I've seen that. And I think you've seen that. Like the guys competing, and they didn't get that one thing that they said they wanted to get.
I never got mine. I had a big gnarly goal.
How did it not eat you up?
It was tough. And I probably chased it longer than I should have and kind of hurt my body a little bit in the process. But I had to step away and say, I need to revisit my goals. And in the end, it's not this number that was a goal. It was to do, I want to demonstrate, my methodology, my approach. I want to do something epic. And so I just picked another set of epic goals that could fall in the constraints that I have to work with. Something that nobody else has done before. And that's my goal right now.
Right.
And it's not going to be on a competition platform. So that's it, what it is. But I just had to step away and go, it's painful to have chased like this singular goal for year over year, trying to make multiple attempts at it, almost killing myself in the process, literally. And to be, I'm just physically not capable of doing that. Like, under those sets of constraints, not going to happen.
And while you did this, or while you were chasing your goal, you were still financially taking care of yourself.
Absolutely.
See, the one thing that I've seen, and why the drop off, is for these people that they grab onto that goal, and then that's it. But wait a minute, hold on. How are you taking care of the rent? How are you taking care of the groceries? How are you doing this other stuff? Don't be so tunnel vision and that locked down to that one. I don't care if it's a IFBB Pro card or whatever. Don't be so locked down that you're not still taking care of life.
Right. Yep.
And that you were lucky enough that you were doing that, and you're a smart businessman, and you're making that happen. And what I don't want anybody to do is, trust me, I'm not saying don't have that goal. Freaking fight for it. Fight night and day for it. But at the same time,
those people, I don't know, when you meet them, they become hollow. They're not very entertaining, I guess. That's all they are. Mm-hmm. And it's that one thing defines you, and it's taken away. They have nothing, right? And I consider it is, you've got to have what I call a balance of extremes, right? So if you're going to go after, if you're going to go after some, that you need to, it doesn't mean that you can't be great at this over here as well. Right. That some people would, seem counterintuitive, like lifting. This is the example I use all the time. I want you to push it to your absolute limits, Mike. I want you to do it absolutely perfect. Some people say, well, you're saying two different things. I got to compromise to get to, the technique to get to drive. And like, no, this is it, right? These are two extremes. I want you to do both. And you can do that. Now, you can't do anything and everything under the sun. So you've got to pick and choose. You've got to prioritize in life.
Right. Like
this morning's discussion. You've got 2 or 3 assistance exercises to pick from. You got 2 or 3 big major priorities in life. What are they going to be?
Exactly.
Training, my family, and my job to support them, right? Like, maybe that's it. Maybe I don't get to go golfing every Saturday for 8 hours. Maybe I don't get to, go out on, Friday, Saturday nights. Maybe I don't get to, there's a whole lot of maybes that people fill their life with, that they like. They're fun things to do and they don't want to give them up. You need to pick priorities. You don't get to go into the gym and pick 20 different exercises. And if you are, you're not going to do them well.
And the people that I see succeed do that. And they pick this is what I got to do, this is what I got to do this way. I'd like to do this over here. These come first. If I get them done, great, I can do this.
Yep.
Most of the time, they don't ever get over to here. And they're okay with that, because they want to be so good here. And so I agree with you in that sense. The training's important. You got to get in there. You got to do that. But you got to take care of the family. And you can't let anything make you bitter in this sense. Mm-hmm. Because by chasing something that may not happen, if you get bitter from it and it destroys, you just lose.
I've seen that with a lot of people that have chased that big goal or put their whole life into the sport, and then in the end, they've got the records, they got the trophy, they got the number they wanted, but they're just bitter about the sport.
How long it
the
took,
people in it,
why it
whatever.
took
Like,
that way.
why do I have to? You know, I gave my life to this and I got nothing out of it. Well, that's not its fault. That's your choices. You know, there's nothing to do with the people that are, you know, the other bodybuilders, the other powerlifters, or whatever out there. They didn't know you anything.
Right.
You know.
I see a lot of the people want their IFBB card. You know, it's just gonna keep popping up the whole time. Yeah, but I see people want their IFBB card because that card is the golden ticket to I do not know what for me.
Right.
But
like,
for them,
what does that
for
do
some
you?
reason,
Yep.
it is powerlifting. It's that total.
Yep.
That total. That total is going to give me
What?
it's like chase it. I get it. Go for it. But at that time, don't become bitter because it's not the total. It's not the card that's going to make you. It's you as the individual. And we've both seen so many people burn out. And I think the one thing that I was talking to a friend this morning. I'm not the strongest guy in the world. Not even close. I couldn't beat Bull Stewart. I couldn't win the Nationals. But I won the California. And I got to train against some beast men. Nick Best.
Oh,
Nick
yeah.
Best and me.
Yep.
We went out at Mr. California Powerlifting Champion, and I beat him on my last deadlift. And he goes, "You're the last guy that ever beat me in a powerlifting meet." We were like kids. But it was something that I loved those battles with those guys, even though I never won. So I'm not the strongest guy, but the one thing that I'm proud of, and it didn't eat me up, is that I don't know of a lot of guys that now almost for 40 years I could, even at the weakest, do a 6'4" and a 6 for 40 years.
Yep.
And I was like, wow, okay, you know what? I didn't even think about that, but that's kind of cool. You know, a lot of people just do that for 1 year or 2 years, but I've been able to stay healthy and in shape and live a career doing what I love.
Yep.
You know, PE class continued after school. I got to train my whole life and do this and live it with passion. And when I wake up in the morning still today, like I was saying, I love this. I love the whole idea of going in and training and creating this art piece and keeping the strength what it is and traveling the world and helping. And it's a whole new level. And I'll guarantee for you, as you continue to do what you're doing and helping people move, that's going to mean so much more to you than any title you ever had.
Yep.
And I know that everybody's watching here is powerlifters and bodybuilders that are going to be like, no, no, it's about this. It is about that. And that's why we're here today. Because of the things we want and the things we did.
Yep.
But life is about the other part of it.
But at the same time, if we didn't have that balance of those other things that keep us, you know, happy, motivated, fulfilled in the sport, you wouldn't be doing this for 35 years. I wouldn't have been doing it for 25 years, and would have never seen the success that we've seen.
Yeah.
Or been able to make a life out of it. Right?
That's
I
true.
mean, so this is valuable information. And just the fact that, you know, you don't have a 9-to-5 job to be at today. We didn't have to, but you're up at 4 a.m. training, and you know, that's why you are who you are. You know, that's a level of, you're only going to do that if you've got discipline and love for what you're doing, right?
I just thought of something. One of those things is, I like 4 a.m. and everybody asks me why 4 a.m. and it's because of my schedule. It's one of the big reasons is I don't like watching the clock when I train. Today we could go in and we could bench. And if we bench for 3 hours, like it basically turned into, we can bench for 3 hours. And I didn't have to be out of there. And that's why I like starting so early. But I realize with social media and how the kids are growing up today, which is different than how we grew up. I mean, we played ball, we wrestled, we did our things not to put it on social media. It was just our family, right? You know, and it was us and it was our heart. And you know, did we want to get out there and wrestle? Oh yeah, we want to do that. Play football? Definitely. Or lift and work out. Do you think the kids today are growing up and they're getting their motivation from the praise they get from social media?
It's a good question. I don't think either of us can really answer that.
The kids I work with today, it seems as though when I work with them in nutrition and training and stuff, I am getting great response here. I'm building up my fan base and stuff, and I'm like, that's great, but keep this about you and what you want. Don't change your things, because I see that mostly in the bodybuilding world, I see that people change their physique for the judges. And something I said early on in my career, I said, I'd listen, do the Johnny Depp thing.
Yep.
Listen to what they have to say great, and then go continue doing what you're doing. In the sense of, I would have judges say, wow, you're 6'3", you got to put on another 20, 30 pounds. No, I'm good. I don't want to do that.
But what's hilarious though is we saw that phase of bodybuilding from during the 90s and the 2000s, and now it's shifting back towards the more of the look that you've held that entire time, which I think is kind of
funny, right?
Kind of entertaining, right?
I never got my IFBB Pro card. I won the Natural Universe and all 4 times, and the one thing that I thought was cool is that I continued on my path, which is different than everybody else, because I was training with Flex Wheeler and Chris Cormier back in the early 90s and stuff, and they went off and they dominated bodybuilding, but I stayed doing what I was doing, just continue to train, continue to do my thing. And this last year I was appointed by Jim Mannion an ambassador to the IFBB, and I thought that was the coolest thing in the world.
That's cool.
I'm like, never even done that, but he looks at me as a role model, and I thought that was kind of cool, and it kind of shows me that everybody's road is different, and I didn't foresee that happening, but it was kind of a nice little a thumbs up on me believing on what I want to do and how I want to create my physique, instead of changing it for 9 people that really don't have any bearing on your life, except for a show. And it's something that I think we both see is when people get ready for bodybuilding shows or powerlifting meets, that they have something in their mind. Either they get this total or they win the show. And if they don't get that, everything is destroyed and lost. And it's one thing I wish more people would not get so beat down from that.
It's a process.
I get it, you didn't get the numbers. I get it, you didn't win the show. But it's, again, you're still growing and still having that fight, and that fight's a beautiful thing to have that you continue to work with, instead of it beating you down and you going, forget it, I'm done with this, I'm gonna walk away forever.
Yep. Very good point.
So, we got the dogs going crazy over here, guys.
Well, I think we've done pretty deep.
We didn't talk anything about the philosophy of training and rest periods and proper form on squats.
We did catch some of that this morning, though.
We'll get that on the next one. But this, I guess, it was definitely the philosophy of passion and motivation to keep doing this and loving the stuff.
And so that's the biggest piece that I think that intrigued me about you, and I wanted to kind of dive in there.
You got what you wanted.
I think you did. So, all right, thank you, Mike.
Thank you, peace.
If you want to maximize your strength and the longevity of your athletic career, or just support the production of further content, click on this video to the link to our store to check out our full line of products.